Hey man, we were having so much fun, and who can blame us? We decided to go and make an extra episode only to focus on UFC 208, emanating live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I'm still undecided as to whether or not I'm going to make it to this card, but we go down the main card and see who we pick to win each one of these fights. Stay tuned to tell us where we're right and where we're wrong. The UFC special for UFC 208 begins now.
And we are back again for another edition of the Unofficial Commentators podcast, now for a special episode dedicated to UFC 208 in Brooklyn, Barclays Center. First time that's going to be celebrated over there, and Jay is not going. I cannot believe it. We're going to go over the fight card in today's special episode, specifically for our UFC fans. And, of course, we're going to give our predictions of how we think this is going to turn out. So what do you got to say about that, Jay?
This is the show that people like Joel Vasquez are going to love. They just have to tune in for the UFC. So, UFC 208 happening Saturday, February 11th. The official start time for the pay-per-view is at 10 p.m. for the main card. FS1 prelims will happen at 8 p.m. And a lot of notable names on this card. Holly Holm, a former champion, Anderson Silva, Jacare Sosa, Glover Teixeira, Jim Miller, of all people. And we're going to go over this card, so let's get right into it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the prelims. I mean, those are gonna be on FS1. You guys can just go ahead and tune in. But just the fact that Jim Miller is in the main card pretty much lets you know that there isn't a lot of big fights for this event. I think there are going to be some good fights, but Jim Miller is normally a prelim type fighter who literally fights every week, apparently. I don't understand how he does it. It is amazing. But
I think he has clones.
Or there must be like three different, maybe twins, and they're all named Jim Miller. I don't know. I mean, Jim
clones.
Miller. Wow. I mean, how can this guy fight so much? He's 28-8, and I bet you, I think the last 28 fights have been in the UFC in the last year. It's crazy. But I don't know if you have anything. Do you have anything to say about the preliminary cards? Because otherwise, I'm just gonna jump right into it.
I like Nick Lentz. He's fighting some dude whose name I can't even pronounce. Islam Makhavchev. Nick Lentz is kind of funny to me. He was supposed to fight. He wasn't supposed to fight, but he was challenging BJ Penn, Old Man Penn, to a fight. Apparently there was some beef there over the food trainer, Mike Dolce, but that never happened, and I don't think BJ Penn is ever going to put on UFC gloves again, so we're never going to get to see it. Hopefully this turns out to be a good fight for Mr. Nick Lentz. I'd like to see him contending in any kind of meaningful way. Other than that, a bunch of names that I don't really recognize in the prelim card, so let's move on straight to the main card. So the first fight we're going to talk about is number 10 ranked Dustin Poirier fighting Jim Miller. Dustin Poirier is no slouch either. He's 20-5 to Jim Miller's 28-8, and they're going to be fighting at 155 pounds. How do you see this matchup going, Mr. Paki? Give me some hard-hitting analysis.
I see Jim Miller he's not bad, but he's not elite. Poirier has been fighting elite fighters lately. He did lose to Conor McGregor. He did lose to Michael Johnson, but he has won every other fight in the UFC. I expect him to win this fight against Jim Miller as well. Jim Miller has some pretty good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His ground game is good. You know, that's Jim Miller's strength. He's not really much of a standout fighter. So I can see Poirier really dominating this fight from the get-go. I don't see how Jim Miller has a chance on this one, man.
Poirier is the favorite, and
by far.
The only thing that I predict in this fight is going to be a lot of violence. I am going with Dustin Poirier as well to just...
as long as Poirier keeps this fight on his feet, Jim Miller doesn't stand a chance, and I can easily see that happening.
There's a difference there in speed, and there's a lot of protection from the takedowns. Dustin Poirier defends 65% of takedown attempts, so he should be good to go in staying on his feet and being able to punish Jim Miller. But if it gets to the ground, look out. This fight may be a toss-up. So, with that being said...
Poirier's going to take it.
Yeah. Glover Teixeira is fighting Jared Cannonier. This guy's nickname is the Killer Gorilla. Go figure. So, 25-5, Glover Teixeira,
nice rhyme.
ranked number 3 in the light heavyweight division, is fighting the Killer Gorilla, who's 9-1. I don't know much about this Killer Gorilla, and this is kind of the way that I see most of this card going. So you mentioned that it's in Brooklyn. I had a chance to go. You know what? It's not sold out, despite what you may hear, rumors and whatnot. It's not sold out. I could probably buy tickets if I wanted to. But it's like I know one fighter out of each one of these fights. Like, I don't really know who the heck the other guy is. Any darn way. What do you got to say about this fight and how it's going to go down?
Well, Cannonier is a young fighter in the UFC, man. I haven't seen much of him, but I can tell you this. I can definitely vouch for Glover Teixeira, who is an experienced fighter, who has a huge hammer, and I can easily see him finishing this fight. I can't really get into the details. I haven't seen Cannonier fight that much, but a guy named Killer Gorilla doesn't sound like somebody that I'm afraid of, to be honest. It sounds to me like he's a... Yeah, I'm not joking. In the UFC...
That you're not afraid of?
Me, no, not at all, man. I think he's
I'm afraid of this
much.
gentleman in every single aspect of life. I don't want to meet this guy in an alley, in the gym. I don't even want to pee next to him in a urinal.
Well, if I have Glover Teixeira next to me, I'll be fine. I think Glover Teixeira should be able to handle this one. Glover Teixeira is another guy. He's fought for a title. He's gotten pretty far. He's gone up the ranks. And I think just with experience alone, he should be able to take out Cannonier. And, of course, with the fists.
I see this being a stand-up fight. It looks like both of them prefer to stay on their feet and not take it to the floor. 64% of Glover Teixeira's fights end by knockout or TKO to 56% of Jared Cannonier. Again, a very young mixed martial arts career, only 9-1. Just to be on the controversial side, I'm going to say that Glover Teixeira may be a little bit past his prime, and I'm going to bet on the young stud, Jared Cannonier, to represent. I'm picking the Killer Gorilla for the upset.
Go figure.
Next match is Ronaldo Jacare Souza. I had no idea his name was Ronaldo. Yes. I'm seeing Jacare as a nickname in quotes. I honestly thought that was his first name. So Jacare Souza, ranked number 3 in the 185-pound division. Possibly should have been next in line, but there's a whole issue there with Michael Bisping having to recover from a knee surgery, which was considered minor, but he's going to have to face number 13 Tim Bosch, the Barbarian. I do not like that number 3, Jacare Souza, has to defend against number 13. He has absolutely everything to lose in this fight. If by some weird chance Tim Bosch, manages to knock him out, which is very possible with Tim Bosch favoring the knockout for his wins, it could prove very detrimental to Jacare Souza's title aspirations. That being said, Jacare Souza is 23-4 to Tim Bosch 20-10. I don't see anything from Bosch that's it's eyebrow raising or eye popping. He's kind of a straightforward dude. He just kind of comes out there and swings away, swings for the fences. I see more technique in Jacare Souza. If you ask me, I'm taking Jacare to win this fight.
Yeah, that's not even fair. I mean, there should be like some type of obviously there's a spread in Las Vegas, but I mean, you should at least guess the round.
Guess the round.
Yeah, because I mean, we know Jacare Souza is going to win this match. I mean, let's be honest. To me, he's the best middleweight right now, and that's including the champion.
Oh,
I think as soon as Jacare Souza gets a chance at the belt, he will get that belt. Whether it's Michael Bisping or Joel Romero, which I think it'll be Joel Romero, but that's a topic for another day. But Jacare Souza is extremely skilled in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he has a stand-up game as well. He can defend himself. He has some strikes. He's not going to knock you out with one punch, but he can technical knock you out. You know, he could do a TKO on you with some pretty decent strikes that he possesses. And of course, he can take the game to the ground and control there easily. Tim Boesch, on the other hand, is a guy that reminds me kind of, he's like a smaller, big country type fighter. You know, he's just going to throw bombs and hopefully he lands one. The few fights that I've seen him win have been because he has been losing and he's landed a bomb to knock him out. I think Jacare is too skilled to fall for that, and I can see him easily trying to take this fight to the ground as soon as possible. I mean, I know Boesch is a wrestler. They're supposed to have some good takedown defense and all that, but Jacare is just so skilled. I can see him taking this game to the ground and one of those crazy bombs that Tim's going to throw at him and control the game from the ground. I would not be surprised if Jacare Souza ends this match, listen to this, in the second round with a real naked chokehold. I'm calling it straight like that.
Okay. Well,
second round, they're going to go to the floor. He's going to take Tim's back. He's going to do a rear naked choke. That's going to happen. And Tim's going to be a little bit gassed by the second round, so it's going to make it easier.
You would look like an absolute genius if this plays out that way. Yes, it looks like Jacare Souza prefers the submission to Tim Boesch preferring the knockouts.
Sprinkling my predictions like the salt, man.
Okay. Yeah, Jacare Souza is a heavy favorite. He's minus 500. I have no idea what the hell that means to plus 385 for Tim Boesch.
Oh, you don't know what that means? I can explain.
Not today.
Well,
not today. Save that for a different day. All right. So the legend
just means that Tim Boesch is a huge underdog, big time.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see here. Next fight, the co-main event. Is it co-main event or pre-main event? I forget what they call it. Anyway, the co-main event is Anderson Silva fighting Derek Brunson. Anderson, the Spider Silva, is currently ranked number 7 at 185 pounds. The last time we saw him in the octagon was to replace John Jones in UFC 200 when he fought Daniel Cormier. That did not favor him. He did not look great at all. He's fighting number 8, Derek Brunson. So a lot can be gained in terms of moving up the rankings from this fight. Derek Brunson is no joke either. He's 16-4 in his MMA career. Both of these guys seem to prefer the knockout over other forms of finishes. And what can you tell me about this that I don't already know? I kind of figure that Anderson Silva, while he can still take a punch, he may have lost a step. The game kind of passed him by, and I'm gonna go with the young guy again, Derek Brunson. Do you disagree, or are you on the
this one?
Go ahead.
Well, the way that I see this fight going, I agree. I think Anderson Silva is a little bit was way past his prime, and he is definitely downhill. But he's still pretty skilled, and he's still a smart fighter. He held his own against Daniel Cormier. Say what you say, it wasn't pretty or whatnot, but he survived Cormier, and that's worth something, because Cormier is going through a pretty dominant stretch in his division. So I wouldn't just, I wouldn't overlook Anderson Silva that easy. Derek Brunson is a wrestler, that turned striker. So I can definitely see this fight standing on the ground. Anderson Silva's not going to go for the ground. Brunson's not going to let it. And I can see this going the distance. It's going to go to decision. And I think if it goes to decision, Anderson Silva might easily win this match in a decision. So I'm actually going against you. I think Anderson Silva is going to take this match by, I'm not going to say split or unanimous. That's too much to tell. But I think it'll be a decision. I don't think there will be a finish in this fight. And I have hope for Silva, man. I think he looked healthy against Cormier. So maybe I think that's going to, springboard him a little bit more. Let's not forget, this guy, he's pretty good. He's old, but he's not bad.
I absolutely disagree with him looking healthy for Cormier. He looked fat. He looked fat and out of shape. He looked like nowadays 2016 Steven Seagal potbelly, picking up a fight, on last minute, which it was.
It was a short notice fight. I mean, he wasn't in a camp.
Yeah.
And given that situation, he still stood there and withheld 5 rounds, bro.
Yeah, but I don't know about this healthy. He looked pretty out of shape, pretty done. He held in there for 5 rounds against Cormier, which kind of goes to show you what the hell Cormier has. I'm dying to see Cormier against Anthony Rumble Johnson. I'm picking the young guy.
That's not fair. You're saying like if Cormier didn't fight Rumble Johnson already, he fought him and he took some punches like a real man. Yeah. As a matter of fact, he gained my respect after that fight.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have anything to say to that. But in the rematch, I'm taking Rumble Johnson. I'm thinking Cormier is.
Oh, of course.
He had his run. All right. Yeah. So you're taking Silva. I'm taking Brunson. Let's see how that plays out. I have it ending in the second round, by the way. Okay. So in the inaugural fight for the 145-pound belt, the women's featherweight title, Holly Holm, nicknamed the Preacher's Daughter, is going to face Germaine, I don't even know how to say this, de Randamie, the Iron Lady.
Yes. The Iron Lady from Holland.
So let us not forget that Germaine de Randamie at 6-3 was originally supposed to face Chris Cyborg Santos for this title, and Cyborg having some weight issues, which later turned to some USADA issues, which later turned to God knows when she'll ever fight again, if ever, is now going to be facing Holly Holm. Holly Holm has the opportunity to become a 2-time and also 2-division UFC champion by winning this fight. She's at 10-2. She's currently riding a low point in her career. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that she's dropped 2 fights in a row. But this is her chance to get back on track and to become the champion of a division. A division who currently has no challengers, and for what it's worth, it looks like Amanda Nunes and even Jessica Pena want to challenge whoever comes out the victor of this fight. It looks like both of these fighters are very accomplished boxers, and they tend to favor the knockout over any other type of win, even though with Germaine de Randamie, I can't even say it. Germaine de Randamie,
bro. De Randamie. Just call her Germaine then.
Yeah, the Iron Lady is 50-50 in terms of her knockout to decision ratio. Neither one of these fighters have won a fight ever by submission, so I don't think that this fight is going to go down to that. Slight reach advantage both for the hands and the legs for the Iron Lady. With all that crap being said, which means absolutely nothing at this stage in our lives, I am picking Holly Holm to become a 2-time, 2-division champion.
Yeah, first of all, let me correct you on something. Germaine de Randamie, she's not a boxer. She's a Muay Thai kickboxer. I believe she was 46-0, and she won a championship in like every division or promotion possible in Muay Thai. I don't even know how that works over there. But she was a beast, same as Holly Holm, who was like a 19-time champion or something like that in boxing. I don't know. These girls were very well accomplished in their original martial art discipline. But Holly Holm has lost 2 in a row. But she did lose one to Miesha Tate when she lost the title. And it's fair to say that she was dominating Miesha Tate the entire fight for an entire 5 rounds. I have no idea how Miesha Tate survived. And Miesha Tate pulled out the upset when she finally took her to the ground and submitted her. But Holly Holm
has heart, and she knows how to win.
Yeah, exactly. But Holly Holm was beating her to a pulp. And her other loss was to Shevchenko, who Shevchenko is, by the way, a real serious contender. The way that she looked with Jessica Pena is Shevchenko's no easy thing. On the other side, Germaine, she's lost 1 fight in the UFC, and guess to who? To Amanda Nunes. So these 2 girls have fought the top of the tops in that division without counting Ronda Rousey, because obviously that's a past history. But Jermaine de Randamie is a serious striker, man. She has some really killer knees. So the way that I see it is Holly Holm has to control the middle of the ring in order for her to win this fight. If it's going to be a stand-up fight, I don't think this fight's going to go to the ground. Neither of these girls feel comfortable on the ground. They're going to challenge each other standing up. But the difference is going to be in what part of the octagon they're going to be fighting is what's going to mark the difference. If Holly Holm controls the middle, if she controls the distance, she will have a productive fight, and she should come up on top. If de Randamie gets her to the fences, where she can put in the clinch, take over with Muay Thai, and strike those killer knees, Jay, you got to look it up, man. She has some awesome knees, man. And not just UFC, and Muay Thai too. She is a savage. If she starts hitting those knees to the body and clinches Holly Holm is done. So that's what this fight is going to boil down to. I can see this fight going to an all-out war. I'm going to be a contrarian on this one. Although it looks like there's going to be a finish, I don't always trust finishes in women fights. So I'm going to take this all-out war going to the 5th round and going in favor of the boxer, Holly Holm, with a decision.
Not much of a contrarian. That's what I'm picking.
No, I mean the contrarian because it's going to decision.
Okay.
I hope it gets to a finish, but with my luck, I know it's going to probably go to decision. So yeah.
All right. We should start doing that. I know that there's a UFC pick'em that you can kind of pick how you want them to end. Should get a few people involved, and when we talk about UFC, get the pick'em involved and see how we rank up against other fans, like a Vasquez, like a Mauri, like Belucci, who I know watches as well. What I know about Jermaine de Randamie, I can't even say the name, but what little I know is she's kind of a straightforward striker, right? Like, yeah, kickboxing and all that other stuff, but I don't see a lot of like flexibility in her, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. If Holly Holm has the type of footwork that she showed against Ronda Rousey, I'm thinking Holly Holm takes this. Does it go to a decision? Does it end with a finish? I have no clue. That's a total toss-up. I'm hoping that for a new title, they make a bold statement and probably end this like, 2nd or 3rd round. But that's how it's going to go. It's either going to go to, down to the last straw, but it's going to depend on which Holly Holm we see, to be quite honest with you. If she shows the footwork, then it's her fight to win. If she comes out kind of flat-footed and gets gassed and doesn't really handle the 145 pounds well, then it's going to go to Jermaine, the Iron Lady, whatever. It's just sad to see that Cyborg couldn't make this weight, because had it been Cyborg versus the Iron Lady, I'm going full-on Cyborg to destroy this young lady.
Yeah, if Cyborg comes back, any of these girls are just going to be warming up that title for Cyborg. There's not a single female in the planet that can handle Cyborg. Are you crazy? But again, I'm sensing some hate towards Holly. Which Holly are we going to get? Holly has looked spectacular in every fight from Ronda Rousey to over here. See, I mean, it's just Shevchenko was good. Shevchenko can take it to the ground. She controlled Holly Holm, and Misha was just plain lucky with her endurance. So I think Holly Holm is going to see.
If we're talking luck, I think that Holly Holm lucked out because one of the rounds ended while she was in a submission move, and then lo and behold, it comes back around, and there was no escaping the second one.
Yeah, when I say luck, I mean luck because she survived all those hits. It's not really luck. I mean, you got to give credit to Misha Tate. I shouldn't have said that, but all in all, Holly Holm, we're going to get the same Holly Holm we always get. We're going to get the boxer with the great footwork and precision striking, man. So that's why I think she's going to win a decision, because I don't think she's going to knock out de Randamie. It's going to take a lot to knock her out. As a matter of fact, Amanda Nunes couldn't knock her out with punches. Amanda Nunes had a stoppage with elbows. So, she could take a punch, man. And, she has a big face to take it, so.
What?
Yeah, she got like this big head, dude. Have you not seen her? She's like her head. She's got like this big head. I don't know.
You couldn't
she
get
looks
out
like
of
she
this.
could take a punch.
So you're saying she has a punchable face? People get arrested for less than that in the United States, Paki. You might want to run that one back.
I mean, guys, I'm not offending her. I mean, she's she got a big head. She
got a big punchable face. She can take a punch.
Yeah.
So, guys, stay tuned for UFC 208, emanating from Brooklyn, New York, in the Barclays Center. I still may or may not go to this show. I'm not 100% sold on the card. It's like an unknown versus a dude that I think is going to dominate. Saturday, February 11th, main card is at 10 p.m. Prelims are on Fox Sports 1 at 8 p.m. And, guys, watch along and tell us how we did in our predictions, if we know about this game or what. See you next time.
I want to give some final predictions before we leave.
Shit, go ahead.
Final predictions. Yeah, I'm going to add this to our UFC segments because I know we're going to be doing UFC episodes every time we have a UFC a pay-per-view, not fight nights. Fight of the night, I'm going to go to Jacare Souza. Submission of the night, Jacare Souza. And Jacare Souza. And finally, the knockout of the night, I'm going to give it to Poirier over Jim Miller.
Whoa! Jim Miller, wow, I think that dude has a chin. He'll bleed to death before he gets knocked out, but hey, that's just me.
It's a matter of time. He's been fighting so much, I think he's going to die probably in like 2 minutes into the first.
I was not prepared to make any of these predictions, so I'm rooting for you to be right on this one. Guys, again, follow...
I just improvised it right now.
Follow the Unofficial Commentators on YouTube. Follow Unofficial Commentators on Podomatic. Shout out to our sponsors, ScotchPorter.com, for a soft, luxurious beer that ladies can't keep their hands off. Use code SP10 on your purchase to save 10%, and they will also kick back something to the Unofficial Commentators. We will leave the link below. And also our other sponsors, So Loyal. Buy the t-shirts and kick back a little profit to the Unofficial Commentators so we can put in some special effects in this podcast. All right, see you guys next week. We'll talk about the fallout from UFC 208 as well as so many other things. Unofficial Commentators, hit us on Gmail if you want to suggest something that we should talk about. And guys, super shout out to all our fans. The comment section on our videos have been off the charts recently. People are weighing in on all of these topics. I absolutely love it. Keep doing it. I'm getting a lot of likes on the Instagram at Unofficial Commentators from people that I don't even know. At UC_podcast. People like what we put out there. And Unofficial Commentators on Facebook. I am running out of air and out of saliva. I can't promote this show anymore. That's going to be it for tonight. Guys, good luck and see you next week.